It's highly likely that what you've been learning up to now is what we call procedural programming. The next step that you need to take in order to become a good developer is to learn object-oriented programming, also known as OOP. Now, there are two main benefits to using OOP over procedural programming, and they are, well, one, it provides a modular structure for your application, and two, it makes it easy to maintain existing code. And right now they probably don't mean a lot to you, they probably don't make much sense, but as we progress through this series you'll realize what they mean. Now, throughout this series I'm going to be using a lot of terminology that may seem intimidating. It's important to not get put off by this, they're just words. So we're going to start off this series by using an example, a real world example that you may just have come across. Now, I have a list of data types here. By now you probably know what most of these mean. You know what Boolean is, true or false. An integer is a whole number. We know what a float is. It's basically an integer but with a decimal point. A string is just really anything. An array is a map. We're going to come back to this. A resource is maybe like a file handle. Null is just how it sounds, null. And a callback is just a callable function. Now, we don't need to look at any of these in this series. The only one that we're going to be focusing on is object. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to create a new object and assign it to new standard class. It's called std class for short. You may or may not have already come across this new keyword. Basically what this does is it creates a new instance of this class. And remember what I said about the terminology. So now what we can do is we can assign properties to this class, or this object even. And basically a property is just a variable. So if we say object name and we set that to John, we can then go down here and say echo object name. And if we refresh in the browser we get John. And we can set this to an array as well. So if we say array John, Billy, Susan maybe, and Max. And then we can loop through these. So for each object name as name. In fact, this should be names now. Then we can just echo name and append a line break. And we get John, Billy, Susan, Max. So that's the absolute basics of object-oriented, well, it's not even object-oriented programming, I'm just demonstrating how to use a class.